I hate to shatter the illusion, but this persona is something of a made-up character. I'm not like this in real life. Sure, whenever I think about Channel 5 I loudly shout the first swear word I can think of, but that's just a survival instinct, like pulling your hand away from a fire or pretending to be a horse with two halves of an Easter egg. No, in reality I'm actually quite a nice person. I'm open, respectful, and actually quite caring. Or at least that's what I thought, but when I started watching series 97 or whatever of Doctor Who, I felt a genuine feeling of satisfaction. At first I attributed that to the fact that the show was no longer helmed by Ronald McDonald's more desperate brother, but then I realised I was picturing every old fan sitting down and watching simply so they could whinge about it online and being exposed to a series that was not only better than the last one, but better than the Grand Tour. Oh god, the intense feeling of pleasure was so much I needed to crack one out there and then, and that's what caused me to be banned from any future recordings. As I was dragged away I saw Matt LeBlanc's shocked face. I lost some friends that day, I can tell you. People were genuinely criticising the quality of the show long before it even came out, because I guess they asked a magic 8-ball or stared at some tea leaves. I mean, what kind of miserable cunts would pass judgment on something before seeing it? Don't answer that. So it turns out the last series was just an elongated audition process to find the real replacement hosts, and it turns out the man who acted like he'd won a competition to be there didn't make it through to the next round, so they had to promote the two blokes who apparently hosted some extra spin-off programme on BBC Three, which I would have watched, but I had an urgent appointment with literally anything else to attend to. Not sounding promising just yet, but the incredible new innovation they've added, what was it again? Like biology, but for grown-ups? That's right, chemistry! That old chestnut that got lost in transit before. Because, I mean, all they really did last series was stick together two random celebrities and who gives a shit what happens. And for some reason it didn't come across as a genuine relationship, in the same way rubbing together two slices of bread doesn't come across as a passionate summer romance. Whereas this time around, things feel a bit more natural and enjoyable to watch. They also seem to have used the first series of the Grand Tour as some kind of map to help them. The same way a soldier would use a map to navigate a minefield that blew his companion's legs off. So while the format of every episode is the same, they change the jokes in the episode. Wow, fuck me, what a crazy novel idea to make the different episodes have different things. I honestly believe that when all the shit hit the fan 2 years ago, a boardroom full of executives started asking what caused the success of the original Top Gear. After 5 minutes of silence and blank, confused staring, they decided to make fun of the original BBC formats with jokey ideas that should have left after the first episode, and create wild scenarios for the presenters to act naturally around. That's sure to work. Definitely. Quickly, check the bank balance and tell the British government we actually technically operate on Mercury. But when you tell people to act naturally, they usually can't, and it looks weird. I'm sure a lot of the series was forced. In fact, I felt it at times. But there were times when it didn't, so big tick right there. All this sounds great. In fact, I'm half tempted to give it Show of the Year right now, because as it turns out, I'm a petty, vindictive lump of shit. But of course it does have some problems, chief among which is, it's a car review show, so who really gives a flying monkey's anus? It's a niche interest. I'm also not going to give Show of the Year to programmes about marble collecting and interesting dogging sites, because I don't give an anonymous masked fuck about the subject matter. I don't particularly get a pleasurable shudder when I watch the presenters talk passionately about toys for millionaires, when the closest thing I have to a car is farting whilst cycling. And fuck me was a lot of that last episode utter bollocks. I don't really recommend this, unless you were previously a fan and were just wondering if it was improving. It is, but if you're an outsider wondering about getting into it, save yourself some time and sit in a car whilst describing different meals or sexual experiences you've had. That's all the show really boils down to. In fact, you could recreate the original series by rattling off nationalities you hate as well.